We are so proud that UPI is now going to the world. It's gone to France. It's going to different parts of the world.
You're asking that, you're like an idiot. You're telling that 10x growth is possible. How that 10x growth is going to come, right? That's what you're saying. And today the knowledge is mostly with the youngsters. Experience actually creates a more negative value, if you really ask me, right? मैं कुछ बोलेगा तो पेपर में आ जाएगा, मतलब मुझे तो डर ही लगता है बोलने के लिए.
Let's begin with a very, dumb question or engaging question. How many of you use UPI every day? Every day is the question. Now how many of you don't use it? Chalo, we are in good company and we are at tech smarts. So here sitting next to me.
Otherwise, I had to meet the people who are not using it. I had a lot of work. You saved my work.
Yes, I have. And here sitting next to me is DILIP Asbe. I'm sure all of you know of him. I've heard of him. But he's someone I genuinely, deeply and truly respect. Because he's the person behind NPCI. He's the person behind UPI. And I always think that he's an entrepreneur sitting out of NPCI and giving a challenge to all the startups. And thank you so much, DILIP, for being here. And I want to begin, of course, I want to ask you a lot of controversial questions, but that first we will get you into the session.
You want me to continue this job with NPCI, right?
Yes. No, we are very proud of you.
And I thought you were my well-wisher.
We're genuinely very proud of you. So the question is, tell us, because the numbers keep on changing when it comes to, and I know what your big ambition is. So I've been given this number that UPI hit a record in January with transactions worth 18.4 lakh crores. Now tell us, what are some of the big numbers? Because you have the biggest numbers.
So we are able to see the well-rounded growth in UPI. The user side, we see consistently good growth. Merchant side as well. We are seeing the takeoff in variety of other new features we have started. For example, the recurring payments on UPI, the new mandates have crossed about 10 million a month. We are seeing daily UPI Lite transactions almost touching 1.5 million now. So it's growing up and fairly, I think the growth is promising. And we are clearly able to see that, we still have a 10x growth, right? I keep talking about it and it's a bit hard to believe, but I still feel that the actual tipping point of UPI, we are yet to see. So I think exciting years ahead.
I have to say that we all grew up in an India where we were looking for tech to the West. But today, we are so proud that UPI is now going to the world. It's gone to France. It's going to different parts of the world. Tell us about that. And are we going to see it in US?
So, let me very clear on this. See, the RBI and the government of India is trying on two fronts. One is, the cross-border payments wherein there is Indians traveling outside can use the UPI, and the similar, recently Honorable Prime Minister launched along with RBI Governor for Mauritius, Sri Lanka together just about few weeks back. UAE, Singapore, the neighboring markets, Nepal. So so one is the effort on the travelers. The second is the diaspora. The diaspora is the RBI is trying to help us and of the Indian missions as well, trying to connect the diaspora. If there is an NPCI like a real-time payments or a digital payment system outside, can we connect and enable the account-to-account transfers on a real-time basis? So these are the two efforts which we are doing, and what it in a simple word means is we have solid pipes in India. The way I look at it, digital payments highways. I think the government and RBI is now looking at building the similar highways cross-border, right? I think that's the effort. And in this effort, our Prime Minister said that, the public good of India can be the public good of the world. And in that process, if the country is interested, they can look at saving their time, effort, and money by adopting the ready-made stack of what India has built. That's what the RBI and government's vision is. And NPCI International are trying to execute the vision.
Something that on an everyday basis we don't appreciate is that today we are living in an India where, because of this public good, this capability that we have, we are also in a if I may say, I'm sure many people will not even remember this, but we are in a non-corruption India. We are in a very transparent, free flowing of cash from where to where India. Dilip, I want you to tell us, because inclusivity and getting the 1.4 billion people on the platform is important, and getting benefits to everyone is important. What are some of the things that you're consciously working towards to enable more inclusivity in the country?
So again, great question that, if I have to paraphrase your question, you're asking that, you're like an idiot, you're telling that 10x growth is possible. How that 10x growth is going to come, right? That's what you're saying. And 2-3 things. In my assessment, there is still large amount of investments are required in UPI, right? I'm just saying that because if the ecosystem is right now, consumer ecosystem and a merchant ecosystem, potentially they can, UPI has been a clear beneficiary of the JAM Trinity, which is the vision which India Prime Minister laid out. And, if we have to really, so from a consumer standpoint, there is a 3x market, 2x at least, because we have the similar numbers of smartphone, data connection and bank account already, right? So that 300 million people in UPI can happen virtually tomorrow, right? How do they come in? Now to come in, the players might want to give them incentive because it's a change of habit for them. Change of habit. It's a creating the trust into the digital, right? They're using the phone today. They are using the phone for the content. They have the data connection. Now the question is, how do we bring them? So we need to create a little bit of a sustainable awareness, cashback program to reach out to this 300 million and get them back in the system. Similar number on the merchant side. In my assessment, we are a market of about 10 crore merchants all put together. Yeah. We will need a large feet on street extension of what has been deployed today to get 5 crore merchant to get that. So I think first important is we need a solid capital to be deployed by the players to get this. Of course, network effect will help, right? The network effect, which means that I'm using, so looking at me, somebody else will start using it, but that might take longer, right? Today, if we need an exponential growth, if we need a good growth, we need capital so that it can happen faster. So 15 years down the line, it will for sure happen. Nobody needs to do anything. But can we do it in 5 years? It's possible. So, but we need capital for that. The second thing, again, from a use case standpoint, NPCI will have to continue to build the features, right? SEBI and RBI helped us to now announce the secondary market on UPI. Similar features, some of the, we were talking about, the QR-based mandates and auto-pay and those kind of things. So those kind of use cases, NPCI and the ecosystem will have to deliver. And third, last but not the least, NPCI, banks and the fintechs will have to consistently invest into creating a very scalable, robust, safe and secure infrastructure, right? So I think these are the three things which we'll have to do to look at that 10x growth. I don't know whether I gave the answer a little longer, but that's what I feel.
Yeah, and if I may ask, of course, this would require a huge amount of capital. How are you looking at sourcing that capital? Is it also going to be investment from the banks?
No, of course, banks will have to invest, the fintechs will have to invest because this is going to be required. And, thankfully, government is giving some kind of digital payments incentives. That's kind of helping to fuel the growth. Last 2 years we have got, and this year also Cabinet Honorable Finance Minister announced. So at least that is helping out. But it's important to look at the long-term story, and we have to get it right.
So Dilip, Finance Minister, I feel very proud that she's honored us and comes, she joined us 2 times virtually and last year came for TechSparks in person. And just recently, she did a meeting with fintech startups on the regulations and that how should regulators, interact every month engagingly with fintechs to ensure that we are adhering to.
I must say that, Shradha, that government and RBI's commitment to grow the startups and fintechs, personal commitment from the leaders who are at the helm is commendable.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I also want to, in that note, call out that the way you have also engaged and supported startups.
But हमारा तो job है मतलब ना, हमारा तो
Job
नौकरी है.
लोग नहीं करते हैं ना ठीक से. And you do, and you've been doing it consistently. But my question is, with fintechs, and there are a lot of fintech startups here today, what can they expect? Because there is this thing that regulators are coming after fintechs.
मैं कुछ बोलेगा तो पेपर में आ जाएगा, मतलब मुझे तो डर ही लगता है बोलने के लिए. The way I look at it, and this is what we at NPCI also discuss a lot, that, India is a 1.4 billion population, 30 million people living outside, about a similar number traveling outside every year, right? So whether it's in India, whether it's a cross-border, we have a solid scope, right? I'm just saying if you look at financial services, so I think I could just think that the fintech, startups, NPCI, the banks, we have to keep building. I'm just saying, I think the keep building and creating the life easier, right? That's what I think we all must continue to do. Because there is a huge growth, 10x in payments, 1000x in insurance, 10,000x in credit, right? I'm saying that the banks and fintechs will have to start thinking about how do we really service this market, such a large market, right? And I'm sure it would need a lot of efforts, a lot of work to keep building tirelessly for next 5 to 10 years to at least 50% of the Indian population is able to use the digital financial services.
I always think that you're the sharpest mind when it comes to the fintech and payments. So I'm going to use this platform to ask you that वो $1 billion कौन से ideas बचे हुए हैं जिस पे हम बना सकते हैं fintech play as entrepreneurs, as startups? What are some of the ideas still left to build large businesses in this space?
See, because the penetration is so low, so many areas, I'm saying the sky is the limit. That's the way I look at it for the fintechs. And of course the banks, because the banks are also trying to become a fintech now.
Yes.
So I would say that, I think, look at the niche areas and look at, any area which is of your liking, your domain knowledge. And I think the financial services is like, the regulator has started the fintech department. There is a sandbox, right? So many ideas keep coming up, whether it's a CBDC started by RBI. I believe the sky is the limit, right? In terms of, what the fintechs would want to do. But obviously, it's important that not to try to do everything. Try to be focused, find your niche and work on that.
What would you say about, yesterday we discussed a lot about corporate governance, that the startups should now look more actively at, and many of the seasoned people like, Harsh Mariwala, Ronnie Struwala, Rajendra Pawar, they were here. They said that, it has to be a part of, from day one, how you build a company. I'd love to hear your view on this, because we are seeing a lot of stories.
No, of course. I'm just saying that when you manage somebody else's money, right? I'm saying the regulator, the government and the ecosystem and the citizens would expect that you behave responsibly and you can be reckless on your own money, but not somebody else's money. So obviously, and there has been a lot of guidance given by the regulator, especially on the financial services side. If you look at the regulators kind of circulars for variety of things, not only the board level governance, but even in the cyber security and the IT systems and the processes. I think it's fairly certain that if we want to go long term, it's super important to be compliant and super important to be vigilant of the potential issues what you're going to see.
Dilip, I have this question that, yesterday Credit Bee was here and they said that they have processed 1.1 crore of loans to Middle India. And there's always this debate in the startup world where Nitin Kamath also says that the paying India, the transacting India is still very less. Consumers who would pay. I would love, because you sit on a data which is of whole of India, which is transacting. What do you have to say about the potential of the consumer market, the paying market?
See, first of all, we are all building for the future, We are not building for today. So if somebody's building for today, can have a very narrow view, what you're saying, that, the real India is 30 million, the real India is 40 million.
Yeah.
Of course, we don't believe that. Even on data, we see a very healthy trend. Normally, the payment systems talk about, any of the systems, the 80-20 rule comes in, right? The 20% people contributing the 80% of the value and volume. We don't see that on UPI data. Obviously, I won't be able to share a lot of insights on what exactly the number is, but we see a very healthy trend both on value, both on volume, which is engagement. So I see a really, when we look at the UPI data, when we look at the way the growth on overall digital financial services is, I see a very healthy progress.
From your lens, it can't be mapped into slivers.
I don't think India is of course, I'm not including the HNIs and that market, because that's a separate, in every country you would look at HNIs are a very separate segment. But I don't think India is a 80-20 market, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
It is much more diverse, well spread out.
I want you to tell us about the credit. Now UPI is in the credit also. What is the plan there?
It may not be appropriate to speak about the targets, but, and actually I'm telling myself about it. But, we have an aspiration of closing this financial year, at about 10% market share on credit in terms of spends. And obviously grow it every 10% every year. That's what our teams are working for. And with the support of the banks, large issuers and fintechs, I saw some of the new fintechs. I saw Kiwi here. So Jupiter is there, and some of the other fintechs that are working on. So we are trying to work with this ecosystem and trying to create a little bit more diverse and well-spread ecosystem. And basically trying to take advantage, again, thanks to RBI to give the approval on for the credit linking of the RuPay credit card on UPI, and also the credit line which has been approved. I feel that we are poised to see a very well balanced growth on the credit, well spread out growth, right? On the credit, we see a lot of new models going to come in because of the full digital nature, the sachetization of the credit, and those kind of things we will see. Obviously, the tech stacks are not built for that, right? Today, when you look at the legacy tech stacks, there is a process of underwriting for a much higher value, right? Here we are looking at step-up model. Here we are looking at a smaller value. Here we are looking at BNPL or the EMI first customers to start the credit journey, right? Not taking the line, but looking at a purchase and start your credit journey then and there. So I think it's a much different journeys now which will have to evolve, and I'm sure the banks and fintechs will build the tech which are required for these new journeys.
Startups are known to innovate and create new businesses and models, but the NPCI to me is also a startup which has continuously continued to innovate. Sometimes to the peril of some of the startups, because I think they should, not in a peril in a bad way I'm saying, but maybe they could have thought of different things which NPCI continues to do and diversify.
But I don't find anything new in that. I'm saying that's our job. Our job is to build, our job is to innovate. So I think, and today, if we want to reach out to a 1.4 billion people at the shortest possible time and a shortest possible cost, right? We have no other choice but to innovate.
Internally, within NPCI, how do you go after opportunities? How do you go on innovating and thinking about the newer things to do?
I think the innovation culture, I have to thank my ex-boss, Mr. Hota. We started IMPS in the first year of NPCI, right? And whole market was asking first 2 years, NPCI employees used to send money to each other real time. The whole market was asking, what is the need of spending real time when he can get the money in a T+1 or a similar timeline? So I think it's all about the culture, and we at NPCI believe it's a day zero every day. It's a beginner mindset we kind of worship. We are blessed also, Shradha, to be honest. I think the fintechs, banks kind of look at NPCI as their entity, right? And we kind of, we are able to crowdsource best of the brains, almost like a no value. I'm saying free of cost, they are ready to contribute, support NPCI wherever we are lacking, to kind of help NPCI to get better. So I think it's blessed situation for all the NPCI people to be in this kind of a event or a journey for next 5-10 years time.
Where we innovate and how we continuously do is also a lot to do with people. And I will take the liberty of telling you something. I was in the NPCI office recently, and I was speaking to some of your colleagues. And one of the things that I heard is that for you, there is no cabin culture. Like you go out and talk to everyone, and everyone in the company actually feels like equal because you treat people equally. And somewhere this is also very important as a company.
It's a very selfish thing, It's a very selfish thing because, I want to learn a lot. And today the knowledge is mostly with the youngsters. Experience actually creates a more negative value, if you really ask me, right? And these youngsters are so knowledgeable, right? Because they are trying out multiple things. So it's my selfish reason to reach out to people and learn from them, right? So that's the way I look at it.
And for me, the learning is that, as we've seen companies scale and founders scale, is that to have that humility and just be very grounded is also one of the key things to continuously grow and innovate.
We are into the service market, I'm saying that the day NPCI builds up the arrogance, builds up we are a service company. We would like to preserve. Mr. Kota started this as a service company, and I have never seen a better person than him in operations. And what he used to say that, justify every transaction price, what you're recovering from your customer, right? So I think this customer service, the customer or the service mindset is embedded like innovation, which you spoke about. And I must thank Mr. Kota for both these qualities to be there in NPCI right from day zero.
Dilip, again, for the benefit of everyone, is how can startups engage and work more closely with NPCI?
So we have a fintech division now, and a dedicated team of about 40-50 people. Of course, we can't service many, right? But we have so I think the people can reach out to us, and we have a dedicated team specifically created. About few years back, we only had a relationship management or a business development team for the banks, but we have now last 2 years a dedicated team for the fintechs, and we have relationship managers and everything. So I think I would be really glad to kind of reach, if the startups can reach out to us in a structured manner, we will try to kind of work with them and do everything possible what they need from NPCI to succeed.
Okay. Yeah, and last, before I open it to the audience,
and I can give my email ID. Please write back to me, dilip@npci.org.in, and please write in the subject line your story, so I remember that where we kind of
and tell us if he doesn't respond.
Got up, yeah. And she's herself biggest promoter of the startup. I have seen nobody but her doing this startup founder thing, and I reached out to her when I didn't know her also so well. That I think you are the media house that look at the startups and fintechs. So you do it by heart. If you remember, I had sent out a message also. I hope you have that message.
Yeah. Yes, and it means a lot to me. Dilip, I've seen you over the years. Again, it's important because startups are going through a tough phase right now. What keeps you every day? What is it that keeps you excited and joyous about the work? Because you are also very crazy, passionate, and consistently over the years. And you're not 20 years old.
I believe I'm 20 years. Okay. I think Shradha, what excites all of us, and not only me in NPCI, is two things. One is, I think there is so much to be done for the nation building, right? I think that's kind of a guiding torch for us. And second is the challenge, right? Because I'm saying it's not easy for us to build a infrastructure, what we are running today, we are servicing 10 billion APIs on a daily basis. Whether you like it or not, we are, if you want to build that kind of infrastructure, there is no ready solution for that, right? So it has to evolve. And that evolution or that challenge kind of keeps us on our toes, because you keep facing problems and, you have to, it's like a moving train. You have to fix it. And it's a great opportunity because, the 10 billion APIs on a daily basis, I don't know who does that, other than the social media guys in the world. And it creates a lot of data. The AI kind of doing the fraud risk management, the AI, building up the AI models, building up the decentralized technologies for the CBDC or the similar use cases. So I think it's the kind of challenge, opportunity kind of drives us apart from the purpose or mission of nation building.
My question is what are the lessons which we can learn from Paytm, and what exactly happened?
Yes, you did.
The RBI and so much.
Look, I'm sorry, but I don't want to comment on that because matter is under the discussion. And look, I think every company, every founder goes through certain ups and downs. But I think the true capability, I think the grit in the founder, because you're not employees like us, right? I'm saying you are founders, right? You want to create something of your own. You want to leave an impact to the citizens. So every founder has an immense grit, and I actually kind of really admire, and many of them, huge learning from them. So I'm sure that every founder deals with the challenges appropriately and comes back to the life. So I'm sure that similar thing will happen with Vijay as well.
There is some amount of failure on the transaction, right? Be it UPI transaction, be it IMPS transactions, or be it credit card transaction, etc. What's the need for the merchants to actually monitor their cash flow on account of digital transaction?
See, there are failure of transactions. So today, the RBI, even government puts up the dashboard. They and NPCI board also monitors the transaction declines, the ecosystem performance very, very seriously. If you really ask me, that's like something which is like so close to us, and not even daily, kind of hourly. And I would like to respond that even at this scale of UPI, the way banks and fintechs have scaled up their systems to produce less than 1% technical decline. So today, even at this scale, we have maintained the quality of sand. That's why you see the growth. Otherwise, if you're running a mediocre system, you would not see a growth. When we started UPI, we were at 10 to 15% technical declines. Today, consistently we try to maintain less than 1%, and transparently we actually display on NPCI website that what is the every player's performance in UPI. So first of all, touch wood, we are in a good shape right now. However, as I told Shradha before, that everybody will have to constantly upgrade because the volumes are growing, right? The second thing is it generates the data, it generates the cash flow, and I'm sure the startups like yours would use that data to make a lot of knowledge, lot of value to give it back to the merchant in terms of credit and those kind of things. So I don't know whether I answer your question or not, but
so the takeaway is basically they still need to monitor.
Yeah, of course,
on the cash flow.
Of
side,
course,
right?
yeah.
So the challenge becomes when it is happening at a volume. Of course, that's where we kind of try to solve it for them, because otherwise you cannot monitor.
Of course, yeah. Goes without saying. Thank you for the question.
My question is more towards the infrastructure. When we go global and when you see the different payment acceptance infrastructure that globally they have is more about tap and pay. So what would you like to say about tap and pay?
UPI also has a tap and pay now. We launched, the Honorable Governor launched it last GFF. BHIM today has a tap icon. I don't know whether you have a BHIM app. Please download the BHIM app and see it. It's already there. And technically it works on the iOS as well. The tap and pay on UPI works on Apple phones as well.
Okay, so are we working around the infrastructure?
Yeah, so look, I don't know whether you visited last time GFF. We had the sticker, tap and pay sticker, right? and the sticker is today cost about 10 rupees, right? And technically you can, what you see on the QR code on the merchant, you can give actually that small NFC chip and the antenna, you can actually print it in the paper QR itself. In fact, we had a stall to show the smart QR and how the NFC stickers can look like. I think tap and pay has its own value because we drive NCMC, we drive other things, and I believe that it's going to grow for the micropayments at least, if not large.
Fintechs are, fearing the regulatory hurdles. Is that coming in middle of innovation? What's your take on that? In any sense, is that going to harm innovation going forward?
See, I would use the word responsible innovation, right? Today, there is a regulatory sandbox. There is a fintech division of RBI. So I think there is a channel which has been opened up for the innovation, which is not clear today. So for example, if there is a gray area, if there is something which is not written part of the current approved and financial structure today, there is a fintech department, there is a regulatory sandbox. I think every 3 months, 6 months, we see that, many startups kind of, I think recently they launched the payment protocol, if I recollect, the offline payments. So many cohorts happened, the frictionless credit. So I think there are many ways to move into that. So if there are clarity issues, I think there is a channel available to fuel the innovation in that sense. But I fully agree with you. I think the innovation has got India where it is today, and only the innovation can take us to the next exponential growth. So it must be preserved at any cost.
Perfect. Thanks.
I am from a developer community, and how can we as young generations can help India grow using technology?
Join NPCI.
Okay.
Send me I told my email ID.
Okay.
So if you are a good tech, we'll hire you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
UPI has been operating since about 8 years now, and people are still India.
It's almost 10 years since conceptualization now.
Right. So I wanted to ask you about the conceptualization phase, the ideation phase, how it looked at NPCI offices. See, countries like US are now working on FedNow, and it's very, I would say, costly to use. But India has been offering UPI for free since, you're saying, 8 years since launch and 10 years since conceptualization. How were the initial years of UPI?
None of the innovation like this cannot happen by one person or one entity. Let me be very clear about this. While, we happen to take a lot of credit for NPCI, the ideation, actually the first idea came from Mr. Nilekani, right? So it started some conversation because he was part of the UIDI. He was a UIDI chairman, and we were from NPCI. We were building the direct benefit transfer mapper using Aadhaar and the APS. So this is the conversation started. The idea got built up. Many banks and fintechs were working along with NPCI to build up this the initial thought process. A lot of contribution by the RBI, even in the initial stages, to kind of the tech innovation has to be it has to become a responsible. It has to have a framework of regulation, right? So RBI contributed a lot to create the operating guidelines and regulations so that this becomes truly a first of its kind digital payment system. Because most of the countries you will see the RTP rails, right? They don't have they either work on, somebody was asking, either tap and the payment system and RTP rails are actually different in most of the countries, right? Especially the developed world. But here in India, the ecosystem contribution to kind of bankers, fintechs, NPCI, the thought leaders from Bangalore, right? So actually regulators, so kind of work with that whole story made a best of the biryani is what I can say.
This is the best biryani ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are directly dealing with farmers all over India, around 12, you can say 12 states. I have one question. Whenever we upload the QR code from any app, there is a limit of 2,000 rupees to receive.
Because of the frauds, because of the fraudsters. Fraudsters, while every transaction in UPI is two-factor authentication and push, there are these schemes outside, right? Investments and those kind of things. That's the reason that those limits have been put up,
Okay, but we get a bit difficulty in receiving payments.
See, there is a way out, right? There is something called signed intent, because what you're using is the in-app story. So maybe why don't you write back to me? If you convert to a signed intent, we can offer a higher limit in that sense. Because we need a trust that which is this QR code, right? Which is this intent by which this call is coming to the UPI app.
Okay. And is there certain limit to how much can we spend daily on the UPI? Because I get those notifications.
So, okay, look, today the RBI approval, what we have is, it's a 1 lakh rupee daily limit for the transactions. It's 2 lakhs for the specific verified merchant categories, right? For example, a mutual fund and, I'm saying credit card payment, a variety of verified merchant where there is no chances of the fraud. It's 2 lakh rupees per transaction. And some of the new transactions like, the retail direct investment or IPO or a secondary market, the transaction limit is up to 5 lakh per transaction, right? So that's the limit right now.
On behalf of everyone, thank you so much. And I have to say, we are very proud of you and proud of NPCI. Thank you.